Breaking tonight, the WNBA semifinals between the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas Aces are being described not as basketball games, but as a scandal in motion. And at the center of the storm is Fever head coach Stephanie White. After yet another loss marred by questionable officiating, White stood before reporters and dropped a bombshell. She isn't just frustrated, she's demanding a full-blown league investigation. Her words were sharp, emotional, and unfiltered. White pointed out a staggering -31 free throw discrepancy, a gap so large it can't be brushed aside as coincidence. She argued that her team wasn't just living on the perimeter, they were relentlessly attacking the basket, fighting through contact and still being denied the whistles that should have been theirs. In her eyes, this isn't bad luck. This is systematic disrespect. For White, this goes beyond a single game or even a single playoff series. This is about the very integrity of the WNBA being called into question. And the most explosive part, she isn't alone. Fans, analysts, and even rival coaches have started whispering the same thing. Are WNBA referees rigging the game in favor of the league's most marketable team? Let's be brutally honest. Fans aren't buying the official storyline anymore. What was supposed to be a clash of talent between the Indiana Fever and the Las Vegas Aces has devolved into what many are calling a rigged production. Social media platforms exploded during and after these games, with hashtags like rigged and WNBA corruption trending nationwide. Clips circulated at lightning speed, fouls called on Indiana players who barely touched their opponents, while Aces stars got away with elbows, pushes, and undercuts without consequence. Inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse, fans didn't just boo, they roared with chants of "let them play," as if pleading for fairness. Analysts watching the tape echoed the same sentiment. This isn't a level playing field, it's a tilted stage where one team gets the benefit of the doubt every single possession. And when Indiana somehow managed to grab Game 1, it only fueled suspicion. Did the league panic? Did the defending champs, the Aces, with their MVP star and marketable brand, become too valuable to risk losing early? That's the conversation raging right now. To many, this semifinal series doesn't look like competition. It looks like a carefully controlled script designed to protect a favorite. And the longer the calls pile up against Indiana, the louder that chorus of fans crying rigged becomes. Game 1 told us everything we needed to know. Indiana walked into Las Vegas, the reigning champs' home court, and shocked the basketball world with a gritty, fearless victory. They didn't just beat the Aces, they outworked them, out-hustled them, and proved they belonged. But here's where the narrative took a dramatic turn. From Game 2 onward, the whistle changed the rules of engagement. Suddenly, every defensive stand by the Fever became a foul. Every trip to the rim by Vegas turned into free throw. What Indiana did so well in Game 1, bodying up, playing clean physical defense, controlling the tempo, was stripped away not by adjustments from the Aces, but by officiating that broke Indiana's rhythm possession after possession. Fever players described it as trying to run uphill in quicksand. Stephanie White said flat out, "It's hard to find flow when there's a foul called every 10 seconds. Think about that. Offense in basketball thrives on rhythm, spacing, timing, confidence. And if the whistle stops the game every time you build momentum, you're dead in the water." That's exactly what happened. Indiana's offense was chopped into pieces, while Vegas was handed lifelines at the line. The story wasn't about who adjusted better after Game 1. It was about who the referees decided to empower. This is where the outrage boils over, the blatant double standards. Watch the tape and the evidence hits you in the face. Aja Wilson lowers her shoulder, bulldoze through Aaliyah Boston, and play goes on like nothing happened. Jackie Young extends an arm to create separation. No call. Meanwhile, if a Fever defender so much as brushes a jersey, the whistle shrieks as though they'd committed a flagrant foul. Indiana was called for ticky-tack contact, phantom bumps, even fouls where replays showed they never touched the offensive player. On the other end, the Aces were free to throw elbows in the paint, set moving screens, and undercut defenders on rebounds without consequence. Fans inside Gainbridge saw it live, and you could feel their disbelief turn into fury. Analysts reviewing the footage called it agreed. Players like Lexi Hall and Kelsey Mitchell looked visibly frustrated, throwing their arms up after clean defensive stands were wiped out by questionable whistles. This isn't just about mistakes. Every referee crew misses call. This is about patterns. Patterns that consistently punish one team while protecting the other. It's the kind of officiating that doesn't just influence a game, it defines it. And when the standard of physicality is one rule for Vegas and another for Indiana, the integrity of the sport isn't just compromised, it's shattered. If you want the single moment that turns suspicion into fury, it came in game. Third quarter, Aaliyah Boston is called for a foul while contesting Jackie Young. Stephanie White immediately motions for a review bench, ready, crowd on their feet, and then silence. The referees flat out refuse to acknowledge her request. No review, no explanation, just a wave of the hand, and back to action. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray drilled a momentum-shifting three-pointer. What had been a hard-earned Indiana lead flipped into a Vegas run, not because of execution, but because officials denied a challenge that could have changed the game. The Gainbridge crowd erupted in disbelief, their cheers morphing into boos so loud they drowned out the broadcast. Within minutes, clips of the sequence were viral online. Analysts slowed down the footage frame by frame, pointing to how obvious the foul wasn't, or at least how deserving it was of a second look. But the refs never budge. That wasn't oversight. It felt like dismissal. And that's what cut deepest for Fever fans. When the rules allow for reviews, when coaches have the right to challenge, but officials simply ignore them, it's not incompetence, it's control. It was the moment this series stopped looking like poor refereeing and started smelling like an agenda. By the time Game 3 wrapped, social media wasn't just reacting, it was investigating. Fans, analysts, even casual viewers were stitching together highlight reels that told a story the league couldn't spin away. One clip showed Aisha Wilson shoving Nalissa Smith in the back. No call. Seconds later, Smith returned the contact, whistle blown immediately, foul on Indiana. Another viral video spotlighted Aaliyah Boston being hacked across the arms with no whistle, only for Wilson to get free throws on far lighter contact moments later. Perhaps the most damning Lexi Hall being called for a foul, despite barely grazing her opponent, followed by multiple moving screens from the Aces that went completely unpunished. These weren't isolated errors, they were part of a highlight package of inconsistency, so glaring it looked like a parody. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram feeds lit up with captions like, "Is this WNBA?" and refs wearing Aces jerseys tonight. What made it sting even more was the timing. Every missed call seemed to swing momentum Vegas's way. If a Fever rally began, a phantom whistle cut it short. If the Aces needed a lifeline, here came the free throws. The longer these clips circulated, the harder it became to argue this was normal officiating. Fans weren't seeing basketball anymore, they were seeing manipulation in real time. In the middle of all the chaos, one of the most inspiring playoff performances of the year was unfolding, and it barely got the attention it deserved. Lexi Hall, listed as questionable with a painful back injury suffered in Game 1, suited up anyway. Most expected her to log a few placeholder minutes, maybe provide some spacing, and then sit. Instead, she delivered the game of her life. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks and a steal, all while shooting 6 for 10 from the floor and drilling 3 clutch three-pointers. Every time Indiana's energy was fading, Hall's shots brought the crowd back. Every time the Aces tried to pull away, Hall's hustle plays, diving on the floor, boxing out bigger players, forcing jump balls, dragged the Fever back into the fight. Cameras caught her grimacing in pain after nearly every collision, but she never asked out. She fought possession after possession, not for stats, but for survival. And yet when the final buzzer sounded, her performance was overshadowed. The storyline wasn't about Hull's courage or her resilience. It was about the referees, the missed calls, and the cloud of controversy hanging over the game. In a just world, Hull's gutsy night would have been celebrated as one of the defining playoff performances of. Instead, it became a footnote buried under the noise of a rigged narrative. Here's where the hypocrisy becomes undeniable. A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP and face of the Las Vegas Aces, had one of the worst shooting nights of her career in game. She opened with a confident three-pointer, but from that moment forward, it was brick after brick. By halftime, she was 1 for 11. She finished the night 6 of 20 from the field, totaling just 13 points on 20 attempts. Let's call it what it was: dreadful.